to Coach's Corner with Zach Ward. We are excited to sit down with someone who knows the game inside and out and has been a college player and coach for such a long time. Zach, I'm going to talk a little bit about you and your time in Lynchburg. I know you made your mark there from 2007 to 2010. In your senior year, you started 26 games. You had 2 goals and 3 assists, and you earned all ODAC first team, All-State second team, and South Atlantic region regional third team honors. That's pretty cool to see someone with that kind of a career. And then you guys won 61 games in your time there, which is like pretty impressive. After graduating, you went on to being a coach, a grad assistant at Lynchburg, and then an assistant at Gettysburg. And I remember, because I was coaching at the same time, then you got the Haverford job, which was a big job, Centennial head coaching job. Everybody loves that conference. And now you're coaching high school, and we coach together at Penn Fusion. So wanted just to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about that experience, and then we'll get in with the questions. But obviously, you've been in the game for a long time, so your knowledge is really valuable.
Yeah, I appreciate being here, given this opportunity. It's kind of funny you diving in some statistics I haven't even heard in a long time. Yeah, I had a great career. I had a great playing career at Lynchburg. I played with some really, obviously, some very talented people, and we had my senior class, the class I graduated with was really strong, and my senior year we had a great run. We went on to the national final, and kind of a Cinderella story to get there, but it was such a great experience. And again, I played with such great players. So I think the awards that came along with it, I would like to say that they were earned, but I think some of it came along with the success that we had as a team, to help kind of project a lot of players at some high levels. So it was good.
Yeah. I've seen you knock around with some of the Penn Fusion guys. You definitely I'll be too hard on myself there.
I always joke that I was a 2-touch center back. My first touch was so bad that my second touch was a tackle.
Yeah.
That's how I played.
That's great.
But I had a great playing career, and I went on. I was given the opportunity to stay on at Lynchburg as a graduate assistant, and I knew I wanted to get into coaching, and I got a great opportunity to get my master's at the same time. And learned a lot. So I did 7 years with Lynchburg, and Coach Yeager, Chris Yeager, who's been at Lynchburg, has had a ton of success, and definitely a mentor of mine through college soccer, through high school soccer, and just in life. He's been a big beacon of my growth beyond college. After I left Lynchburg, I went on to Gettysburg and was there for 4 years, and as an assistant, worked for a coach that just retired. His name is Mark Metrick, another great mentor of mine, an unbelievable, successful coach, and
definitely coached against him a few times.
Yeah, he's definitely a really, really strong coach, and learned a lot. And then I was hopeful to find a head coaching job, and to land a job like Haverford was unbelievable. A storied program, successful program. To be given the opportunity was incredible. And I loved my time there at Haverford, and I love the things that I learned, and the people I got a chance to work with, and the players I got a chance to work with. And now I'm coaching at the Episcopal Academy in the Philadelphia area. A little bit of a transition out of college, but I think it's been a really good joy. I have it's a different kind of challenge with these players. Some of them are all in on soccer, some of them play lacrosse. But figure it out. And it's part of the fun. It's part of the joys of coaching and the challenges of coaching. So it's been a cool journey to kind of, from Virginia to PA and kind of move all over. Yep. But, it's taken me a while to get where I am, and I'm happy. I'm always happy to get back to the game that I love so much.
That's so cool. And like one of the things I love about being at Penn Fusion is that I get to work with a lot of guys that just seeing you guys coach, taking little bits and pieces from like all these places you guys have been. You know what I mean? Like it's really cool to run a session together, and I go, okay, I love to use that. Or like we'll run the same drill, and it's a little different the way you would run it, or Keith would run it, or And it's like, okay, I'll pick up on this. I love that. Like, I was like, cool. It's a little different, but it's awesome to have that and all this just experience in a college game. And that's what I want to do, right? Like, really the whole reason behind this is to educate and give feedback that it's actually valuable to these players, to the players that you mentioned at EA or any other. Like, kids want to play 1, 2, 3 sports, and there's still a way to find their way into a college program if they understand how to go about the pathway, building a pathway, and understanding how to go about the process. So what we're going to talk about today is really the landscape of recruiting. You've been in the recruiting game. I used to see you at every single event, whether you were at Gettysburg or Haverford. I was at Rutgers Camden at the time. We would cross paths at all the events, and things have changed a lot since 2000 and since COVID. Since COVID, the college game has changed a lot. So I'd love to get your input on the landscape of college recruiting. And the first question is this: in your opinion, how has the landscape of college soccer recruiting changed in the past 5 years?
Yeah, it's amazing. Is like you talked about, like you were at every event. I felt like I needed to be like every weekend. It was like, we're going to go to Jersey, we're going to go to Maryland, we're going to go to Delaware, we're going to go to, New York, Virginia, wherever, like Florida. Like, you had to be on the road. You had to go. And I felt like you really had to go. And I feel like since COVID, it's amazing that just like so many things are referenced around COVID, before COVID, post COVID. But a lot of I can't say a lot, but there is a section of recruiting that is a lot more virtual. You have so many more accessibilities to film, and it makes being able to see individuals from further away a lot more accessible. I mean, like, Coach, I had a high school game today. We're filming a high school game. I remember 6 years ago, you don't film high school games. Working at Penn Fusion, we film every game. That stuff didn't happen 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Is definitely different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing just how much it has changed in that landscape, and the accessibility you have to players in different facets. I think I still like to have eyes on players, in person. I think it makes a difference, but sometimes you don't get that opportunity. You have to move with film. So I think that's such an important piece of the change of landscape in recruiting. I think the amount of ID camps has, quadrupled. I think is there part of the filtering that is in the recruiting process is trying to find what's going to be the best opportunity for you as a player. And you can't spend thousands of dollars and go to every single event. It's not feasible, and you don't have the time for it. So finding the time and putting in your homework to find the right events is an important piece. Is it going to small schools and events that have camps that have 3 schools? Is it ones that have 12 schools? Is it one that have 50 schools? Whatever it may be, like, it's all in your own experience, but trying to find the right opportunity, because there's so many different ones. Every weekend there's an event. There's a recruiting event with college coaches and things of that nature.
I'll ask you a very Centennial specific question, because those players they were different, right? When you guys were recruiting, the first question was a GPA. Like, he has to meet the GPA to be a player at Haverford, at FNM, at Swarthmore. So talk to me a little bit about, like, what are college coaches prioritizing when evaluating players? Like, I think that's where players miss the mark the most. They don't understand that it's not just like, sometimes it's like, it's not that the coach doesn't want to give you the time of day, but you don't have what it takes as a whole, not soccer, as a whole, to get into the school. So you're not going to spend a minute on a kid that has a 3.0 GPA if you're a Haverford, right? So talk to me about that and how that breaking down works.
Yeah. So when I first got the job at Haverford, speaking with the other coaches in the department, and especially the women's soccer coach who was a good friend of mine, and I definitely learned a lot from, it was kind of like when you go to an event, and you get the team sheet, and it was kind of like, 18 players and this is all their information, you kind of like check off it was more of who can I not get in, as opposed to who do I like. So like if you go, and again, Haverford is extremely selective. Like I think they have like a 12% acceptance rate. So it's obviously very, very selective. But you would go and get a team sheet. You have 18 players and only 2 of them are academically, strong enough to get in. So you were able to be a little bit more efficient with your recruiting, because you would then say, all right, I'm going to watch blah, blah club from wherever. And I have a team sheet of 18 kids. And only 2 of them are academically good enough, but only 1 of them, I think, is soccer good enough. You make a note and then you can move on to the next field. You don't spend, I'm looking at 16 players. Like when I was at Lynchburg is obviously a very different academic profile. So you could get in 16 of those 18 kids. So then you're taking notes on everyone. So at Haverford, you had to be a lot more efficient with your time to try and to maximize your moments at those recruiting events. Also at a school like Haverford, you could get kids in from all over the country. It's such a strong academic profile that it draws kids from, Haverford's an East Coast school. It draws kids from the West Coast. It draws kids from the Midwest. So those are definitely the different, specific profiles that you may look at when you're recruiting. When I was recruiting at Haverford, definitely have to meet the academic standard before you can even meet a soccer standard. And there may be some wiggle room here and there, but again, at a school like Haverford, where it's like a 12% acceptance rate, there ain't much.
It's not the kind of, and there are schools that are. I coached at Rosemont for a while. We could get a lot of people in there, and I think the difference also becomes is when you are selective, you know what you're getting from a student standpoint, and when you can get anybody in, it becomes like, sure, you can bring anybody you want, but now your job just tripled, because you're going to have to watch if they're going to class. You're going to have to watch if they're doing their work, all of that stuff. So I think it balances out, but mostly like people need to understand how this works. And I don't think people have any idea, Zach, how it goes, like how a coach shows up to a recruiting event and each school has a plan of how they're going to attack it. And I tell the players I work with, I'm like, dude, you got like 15 minutes. Like the coach doesn't care. Zach Ward does not care if you're winning 4-0, losing 4-0, whatever. You got 15 minutes of his time if Haverford was the school of choice. And you got to do the best you can right there. So it's good to hear that perspective from a high academic school, for sure. How early would recruiting realistic start, right? And do you think that now with, I hate to keep hitting the post-COVID, do you think the post-COVID has changed that timeline, especially in Division III, like focusing on Division III? How early do you think kids should start looking at recruiting, and what do you think the timeline is?
Yeah, I think the summer going into your junior year is a good time frame to start thinking about that. And I think at the end of the day, there are a lot of kids that want to play college soccer, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I think having that ambition is great, but sometimes reality hits, and it's a selective process. It's not for everybody. So I think if you start the summer going into your junior year, it's a good idea, and you can, start to identify some schools you may be interested in, some profile of school that could fit what you might want academically. I think that's a good scenario, because in that year, from the summer of your junior year going into the summer of your senior year, there's a lot that happens. There's a lot of recruiting events. There's a lot of open communication time for Division I schools. There are a lot of college visits that come into play. There are recruiting college ID camps that could come into play. There's a lot that happens in that year. And then going into your senior year, your junior year, you should have a list of like, say, 30 schools. By the time you're going to your summer of your senior year, it should be down to like 6, maybe 8 schools. And you're doing your overnights, and you're doing, your financial packages and your academic reads and all those good things. So I think the realistic approach is really going into your junior year. And again, you may walk in as a freshman, like a freshman in high school, and say, I want to play college soccer at the University of Virginia. And that's great. Have that ambition. But that's like, you know, to be in your recruiting class, that's like 4 kids in the entire United States. Like, that's super selective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to have a little bit of reality. So by the time you're a junior going into your junior year, like, all right, this is where I'm at club wise. This could be the reality of where I can play athletically. And can we find the right academic fit that is appropriate for what I want in a school? So those are all the kind of processes that kind of take place. And then again, your summer of your junior year is really where you kind of take off, and you attend some events, and you try to start to build a rapport with coaches to see what clicks, see what doesn't click, see what's a good fit, see what isn't. And that's all part of the game. And I used to say it was always like a funnel, and you try and dwindle that funnel down, and then you find that right fit at the end of the funnel that is the best for you. And as much as I'm sure we'll dive in later about things of the portal and that situation, ideally you find the right school and you find the right fit, and you don't even have to think about the portal.
I agree. We're definitely going to dive into that later in a little bit, actually. But now you say that, and then like now I'm bringing the families into it, right? Like immediately, I feel like parents want to help, and it's a process that the kid has to go through. But there is a spot for the parent, and I tell the people I work with, I'm like, hey, don't get directly involved, but know how to guide your kid. The coach doesn't want to hear from you. He's not going to want to talk to you, but you can definitely guide your kid in the right way and push. So what are some common mistakes that families make during the recruiting process that you have experienced as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, the tough part is when your main source of communication is with mom or dad. That's not a good sign.
Yep.
Listen, it could be the next Lionel Messi, but that's still a tough thing to take. So definitely letting your child lead the conversation is extremely important. And I can't even tell you how many times I've sat down at the table with a recruit and their parents, and it's just been 4 words from the kid and nonstop mom or dad just answering every question and asking every question. You're just like, this is great. I appreciate the investment, but I need to hear from. And on my side, as a boys coach, I need to hear from your son. I need so much more from your son. So I think, and again, like at the end of the day, mom and dad are they're the ones that are doing a lot of the legwork to lead to this, and they obviously want a return on investment because there's a lot that puts into it. But in that room where you're sitting down with coach or assistant coach, please have your child lead the conversation, and you can help them. As much as you're talking about guiding them, you can help them and prepare them about the kind of questions they should ask. So the kind of research they should do, and just have a general idea. But they need to answer questions, and they can't just say like, "What do you like about X, Y, and Z college?" I like the location. That's not it. Or asking a question like, so tell me how your season went last year. That's not a good question because you don't do research. That's as a coach, I'm just like, you don't even know who we are. You didn't even see it. So things of that nature are happen all the time. In my time as a college coach, and I really urge for, again, at my level as a boys coach and a men's coach, just let the young man lead the conversation. Lead the questions. It goes such a long way. It leads such a great first impression on a coach. I can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah, it's their interview, right? Like it's not. You can be their support, but it's their interview. You're not answering questions for them.
Yeah, and as a former coach, college coach, I used to always say like, I like having the conversation with the parents. I think that's important because they have questions about things that the kids don't even think about. They don't really react about. They don't think about. But it's important to have that conversation with the kid as well. And I would also try and like do that as a coach away from the parents, because you need to get to know who they are away from mom and dad, and what kind of personality they have, and what how do they communicate.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to talk to you about highlight videos for a little bit. How do you see? I get a lot of questions on length, how much time coaches put into it. Is it the only way that like coaches will use to recruit? Like I know the answers to all these questions, but I want to hear your input on this. Like
Yeah, I
what
mean,
is your vision on highlight videos?
yeah, highlight films. I mean, for the first length, like 90 seconds, 2 minutes tops. I mean, I remember I would get, you know, a ton of just, inquiries about my time at Haverford, Gettysburg, Lynchburg, all of it, about, the interest in the school. And they would send a highlight film and it would be like 9 minutes long. You're like, I don't have the bandwidth for this. So I would say 90 seconds to 2 minutes long, and whatever the best thing is, if you're a goalkeeper, forward, whatever the best thing you have, make that the first thing that's in the video, because you want to catch the attention right away from that coach. Don't save best for last, because they may not make it to last. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. First thing, the best thing you have, make it the first thing, and really draw those coaches in. And then again, hit everything you need to in that 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And I always viewed highlight films as a coach as a taste. Again, if it's something that really excited me, I would do more of my research. I would reach out, ask for more information, ask for more film. Try to have, as best as you can, try and have your highlights against someone that is quality as well.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times, like, I feel like I watched a kid score a goal and he's playing against like his little sister, you're just like, dude, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
I even asked for again, we're talking about the COVID, pre-COVID, post-COVID, if it's a kid from Austin, Texas that I know I'm not going to see in person, like I would be like, listen, I think I can see something in this, but the quality of opponent's not great. Like, can you send me something against a good opponent? Like, give me a little bit more reality of what I'm going to see. And I'll even, like, if the kid really catches my eye, I'll put 30 minutes into a game film.
Yeah.
And just be like, how do you do off the ball? What do you know what I mean? Like, I'll put the work in, especially if it's someone I can't see and I have a bit of an interest. But again, diving back to highlight films, like, dude, like, make it simple, make it quick. Part of the highlight film goes with the email, your introduction email. Don't tell us your life story.
Yep.
Don't tell me, Lionel Messi. I was 3 years old when I saw Lionel Messi score a goal for Barcelona. That's great. We don't care. Give us just who you play for, who you are, where you're from, what grad year, who you play for, and your number, and give us some juice with some highlight, and then let us do our homework after that to really pique the end.
I love what you said about the being like position specific and showing your best qualities within your position. I have countless videos of center backs scoring a goal, and I'm like, dude, this is great. This is great. You don't want to take this out, but if you're leading with this and they need a center back, I mean, that's a corner, man. You went up for a corner and you headed the ball. That's great. That's unbelievably great. Nothing about that tells me that you can play center back. Tells me that you can get up and head the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's like very much on point with everything that every coach says, like every club coach says, like, but the kids want to show. I feel like we're in the YouTube era where like those saucy little moments where like, count more than the stuff that coaches want to see. Like if you're a 6 and you're megging 2 people in the middle of the field, great. Did you lose the ball after that? Because if you did, I don't really care what you did.
Yeah, a goalkeeper that's punting the ball 75 yards. Listen, that's great.
Great.
Your job is to keep it out of the goal.
Yeah. So it was great to hear that from you. Like just the little nuances of putting things together in a way that coaches are actually going to look at. And I get so many videos and I just go, man, I would have moved all the stuff that's in the back. It's never going to get seen. I'd move it to the front.
Yeah.
And then I'll have all the goals in the back. I'll be like, hey, and listen, coach, I can go up for a corner and knock one in. Once you have the coach, For
sure. Yeah. I mean, I still encourage that with my players. Like, and I like whenever they're in that age of that junior year, they're doing recruiting. I ask to see the highlight film. Send it to me. let me help you out a little bit,
And that's the next thing in contacting coaches. What do you think is the best approach for a high school senior, a high school junior? They cannot communicate with coaches to contact them. And the big thing I want you to focus on, Zach, is what if they're getting ignored? Should they keep pounding the door? How to approach that? The whole being ghost.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's tough. I don't know that there's a blueprint to how to plan, how to get through that. Because a lot of times, especially as you're younger, when you're early to communication, and you reach out to some schools, and you're like, I'm a graduating class of 2027, we'll just say, and I'm very interested in your school. This is me, blah 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 blah. This is what I have, and you're young, like you're you're a couple years away. You may not get as much love as you hope. So you kind of, I think, being persistent in that scenario is good. But as you're a senior and you haven't really gotten, after 2 emails, 3 emails, it hasn't really clicked, there's a little bit of writing on the wall where it's like, again, I don't think that's the most professional thing for coaches, just to ghost. I think it's, I think it's important to be transparent. But if you're not receiving anything in return, there's some writing on the wall. They're like, all right, let's shift our attention. So I know I kind of jumped forward. So, and then originally when you're reaching out to coaches, like, make sure your email is professional. I have seen so many silly, hot, whatever. Yeah. Like, I don't even want to go into it, but you can have some silly names. But like, honestly, the easiest thing to do is like have something like the first initial of your first name, your last name, and like your grad year at Gmail. Like, own it. And that's so simple. And you can honestly use that, like, even as you're applying to jobs outside of college. Like, it's pretty simple and professional. I think that's an easy one. Like, when I graduated college, I still have the same Gmail from almost 20 years ago that I use today as my personal email. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, again, keep your information simple. Who you are, where you're from, what your grad year is, what your position, what your number for your club team, who your club team is, just things of that nature. Just keep it simple. You don't need the life story. We all have life stories about soccer. I mean, shoot, you and I have been away from playing forever. We're still have a life story of soccer. So you don't need to add that. So that's the thing. And again, add that highlight film that we talked about, as part of that. And then again, like, ideally coaches are being professional and being transparent. If you have it in the early days of your going into your junior year, it could be generic stuff. Come to our camp. We want to see more from you. Send me your schedule. We want to see more. Send that. Send your camp. Send more film if you can. Not everybody can afford to go to an e-camp. That's fine. Send anything you can to encourage those coaches to come and see you. And then as you're getting into your senior year, and you're starting to have more and more communication with coaches, you kind of read some of the relationship. Are you now on a phone basis? Are you on a texting basis? Is it just email? If it's just email, the coaches are interested. In my opinion, the coaches are interested, but you're not a top recruit. If you had a phone call, if you're on a texting basis, in my opinion, you're an important recruit, and you are someone that should have transparency with it. So if you haven't heard anything from coaches after 3 or 4 emails, move on. Move on to other schools, move on to other coaches. You know, as far as playing wise, may not be the school, may be the right fit. Yeah. And at the end of the day, if you can't, if you want to go to the school, like it, that's your choice, no worries. But you need to kind of see, like, I need to be efficient with my time in the recruiting process. So looking at other schools is the important piece of that. Yeah. And then the schools that you have candid and multiple communication with, email, phone call, text message, just ask the question, like, where do you see me? Am I in your 2027 board? Am I a top recruit? Am I a second tier? Ask those questions, because as much as a college coach, there, I was trying to put together my best class, my best profile of players. You're doing the same thing as a recruit, you're trying to find the best profile school. You're trying to find the best profile program. Those are they work in tandem. Whether they're on different sides, they still work in tandem. So like I said, be blunt. Be like, am I a recruit that you see playing for you next year? Whatever it may be, but ask the question. If they dance around it, that's fine, but you're still putting it out there that you need to know.
Yeah, and you gain valuable information. Like
Sure.
it's either a straight up yes or a straight up no, or dancing around the park. That you can also read between the lines with that. Like you know what it is, but the biggest thing that you just said is being blunt, and to me, because I tell like the kids get so afraid to ask these questions, thinking that the coach is gonna. I'm like, no, they want to know.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna ask you the same question. Hey, am I in your top three? Because I don't want to spend any more time on you if I'm not even like if I'm just a number. You know what I mean? Like you remember those conversations with like, this is my number one guy. My first thought was I need to find out if I'm in the top three.
Yeah.
If I'm not in the top three, then it's tough to like, I gotta change this kid's mentality, all of it about the school. So I tell everyone, I'm like, be blunt. It was the same ask. They're not gonna be offended. They're not gonna be mad at you. Even if you're telling them, I don't like your school. Like your school is not for me. Be blunt.
Yeah.
Tell them, thank you. Be professional and respectful. Right? Like respond, be professional and respectful, but be blunt. Thank you. It's not what I'm interested in. I'm looking in a different direction. And every coach is gonna be like, thank you. Like you said, 2 out of 18 made life. It allowed you to like get it going. It made it easier to play. Not easier, but like more focused, which is the key to everything. So I have one question about the portal. How do you think that has impacted high school players in terms of recruiting opportunities, right? I'll get your thoughts before anything.
Yeah, and listen, I don't know a lot of the ins and outs of what the portal consists and like how you can contact players. I don't know those details, and but I mean, listen, I had a conversation with a family today, and just about helping their son in their recruiting process and trying to give them some candid information about where I felt could be good areas for their son to look and maybe not look. But one of the questions he asked was like, I mean, the portal has really impacted the recruiting landscape. It has. It very much has. It almost feels like free agency when you look at it. Like, and again, I don't know the NCAA rules about how coaches can contact and players can contact. I don't know that, but from the outside looking in, it's like it's really free range where you can go and shop the market to see what you can get if the grass is greener elsewhere. And if it isn't, then you're like, I'll stay at this school and we'll figure it out for the next semester. Like, I think it's really tough. I think it's really, really difficult. And the fact that so many players are on the move and so many players are looking for hopefully something better or something different, it does impact. I remember years ago, I was speaking with, I'm not going to name the school, but it was a D1 school, and just how they were viewing their recruiting timeline. It was like they were very much looking at transfers, internationals, domestic. Like that was kind of how they view their at the current time frame of that window of their recruiting. So I really think that finding a home as a high school senior, in your junior, it's more difficult now than it was, 3 years ago, let alone pre-COVID. So I think the accessibility to the portal, the accessibility to players looking for new homes, it's a lot more difficult of a landscape. And I think that's why, stuff like this is so important to help educate families and educate kids, like getting your foot in the door early and educated early and contacting schools and players and coach, all the early communication is such an important piece to help you through this process.
Yeah.
I don't see it changing. Again, I don't know. I'm not sitting on NCAA board meetings and things like that. I don't see things like this changing. I think it's just going to be more and more difficult as we move forward and we try and help educate families through this.
Yeah, I mean the key becomes knowledge of
Yeah.
how to go about it, and really looking at schools that fit you. I feel like the D1 dream is such a big one, and it comes from, I'm now, both of us, we play Division 3, pretty high level Division 3. I made it to the NCAA tournament once. You made it to an NCAA final, but that experience was so valuable to me, and I got to play. I got to play. I played all 4 years of my college career. It was awesome. If you get to play 3 to 4 years of your college career, holy crap, what an experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when I was at Nova and I told Alex, the Nova assistant coach, I was like, I remember we had players on the team that I'm like, dude, you're never playing. I mean, no disrespect by this. Good players, very good players. But I saw the recruiting process of how that was going. I'm like, there's 3 kids on the board right now. They're way better. And they're going to come in, and you're here for. So what you want out of that experience is so important. And the portal created a different culture.
Yeah.
We had to build this culture of retention was the key. Retain, graduate kids. Right now it's kids come in, you might lose a whole team if no one's happy. They can get on the portal and go. Especially at the one level.
Yeah, no, it's that's a good way to put it, is the retention. I think the retention is such an important piece of it. And that's why I think it's so I encourage so many families to look at the school first.
Yep.
God forbid if soccer's taken away, are you still at the school you want to be at? Are you still going to gain the experience and the degree that you want out of your experience? And I think that's that's such an important piece, because like I said, like you just said, I mean, if you're not unhappy, Coach David's the worst, I'm out.
Yeah. Peace.
It's
and that's what I want this to be like. Now, I don't want to plug my own idea here, but it's all about educating how to go through the process, not promising scholarships. I hate it. I hate the guys that get on the online and they're like, how to get to a Division I program. I'm like, dude, stop. You have no say in it.
Yeah.
You have no say in how that works. You might even have a connection that you can point out, hey, Zach, I like this kid. You would then go, okay, thanks. You might look at it because I said I like the kid, but I'm not making a decision for you. If I say, Zach, you have to take this kid, to be like, thanks, David. Good talk, man. I appreciate the time. You're moving on.
I don't have to do anything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice.
You
know what I'm saying? Yeah. From a coach's perspective, I feel like the whole idea of building a culture has kind of become it's taking second place now. It's like win and use whatever resource you need to win.
There's so much pressure on division, especially at Division I. There's so much pressure. Big schools, like the culture amongst the entire athletic department is to win.
Yeah.
And if you're not meeting that, and again, there are things where it's development and you can manage both with winning and developing the proper culture. You can do both. But the pressure, I think sometimes the pressure is strong or even sometimes unattainable to win right away. And that's where I think sometimes coaches can be more cutthroat than they need to be, or they, I don't know, don't advise well. I can't say, I'm not in those rooms with those coaches, but I think when pressure is on, and especially if you want to keep your job, because that's such an important piece of life, is keeping your job and providing for your family. Sometimes you have to make harder decisions than you really want to.
It's going towards the pro game a lot more, especially in Division I. Not so much. It's like win, and build the roster for that year. That's going to give you the best chance to win. And the picture I'm trying to paint for the kids, it's like, hey man, if I can get a 23-year-old from Germany that can come in and play as a freshman, or an 18-year-old from Media PA, it's a lot easier to take that chance on a grown man, and it's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
fair. I'm not saying it's fair, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
the landscape.
knowing how to approach it. I got two more questions about. We both coach EC. You're coaching an ECNL team. I'm coaching an ECRL team at Penn Fusion, and I want to kind of get your thoughts on the league in terms of recruiting. How do you feel in terms of how, like, just exposure in general from an ECNL event and an ECRL event? You know, like I said, just your thoughts on those level of coaches, everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, obviously the ECNL event's going to get more exposure. You know, that's the higher level, that's the higher quality of player. You know, that's a lot more exposure. I think the ECRL event does get some attention, but not nearly as much, and maybe not as much as it deserves. I think there's some high quality players that play at the RL level because they're just sometimes the club you're playing for is extremely high. So I think that's such a tough justification sometimes for families to be like, listen, like your child we're offering an RL spot, and they'll gain exposure at a college recruiting level, but it may not be as much as you would hope. And I think it's a tough, you know, sometimes that's a tough sell, but it's also maybe the right fit for the development of your child too.
Yeah.
And that's a tough conversation to have. And thank goodness I'm not a club director where I have to have those those conversations. But I think advising families is you want to find the best fit for your child for their development. As much as you like, they need to play ECNL. They need to, if they're not going to play ECNL at Penn Fusion, they have to jump to Delco. Well, I don't think they have it, but they have to jump to club until we finally make an ECNL team. And then you may not be on a good ECNL team where you don't win any games.
Yeah.
And you play a lot, but your team gets thumped. What kind of experience is that?
Yeah.
So it's finding that balance. So I think when it comes to the leagues, it's incredibly competitive on both sides, the NL and the RL. I think they're both incredibly competitive.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to finding the right amount of exposure, I think attending the national events as best you can as an RL player is good, and contacting coaches to let them know. But you also, do your homework on the other end too. Of hopefully you have the means to attend an event at a college clinic or things of that nature. Hopefully you have the means to do that, or talk to your club and your club director about trying to get opportunities to see at an NL level. I can't tell you how many times I've been at NL events and there's like 11 kids. You know, there are opportunities. It's just a matter of asking the right questions at the right time to find those opportunities as well.
Yeah. And the one thing they do, and you mentioned it, ECNL does a great job with the national events. Like if the kids do their homework and communicate, one of the things I did with my 07s is I said, hey, you got to write coaches. Yeah. You have to face the coach. And there's a difference between the NL events and the RL events. But in the RL level, if you chase the coaches that fit your level, right? If you're contacting coaches that are realistic and fit your level, they will all come to those events.
Yeah,
for sure. Like you can get coaches at those events. Might take a little bit more work, but that's one of the things that I've been saying to families is, sure, if you're playing at a high level club, you can do all the things you just said. You can contact your coach to speak on your behalf. You can contact your club to talk about playing up opportunities if it's available when it makes sense, without acting like you deserve it.
Yeah,
more than the other guy. That's another thing. They're like, when am I playing up?
Just because you played for a club for 5-6 years doesn't mean you deserve to be
it's
top level.
It's all in the moment and what fits the team and their needs and the club and their needs. And there's such a personal level to every decision that's made in club soccer. And I'm like, dude, everybody's paying. I hate when people say I'm paying to play. I'm like, this is pay to play across the board, man.
Yeah, it's a transactional.
You're paying to be part of something and for the exposure. And that is majorly provided in the ECNL level and ECRL level. You just have to create those spots for you to be seen, and you have to be realistic. Like if you're ECNL, you're gonna get some D1 looks just by being there. Like if you ECRL, you have to work. You have to work a little harder, but it is what it is with the level. And I still think you can get some looks. You're probably not gonna get high Division I looks. You're probably not gonna get mid Division I looks, but you're gonna get some. I had Division II schools at our events. I had high level Division III schools at our events, and I cannot say enough that those opportunities are so golden that it's sometimes take it for granted. You know?
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. Where you know when you had an event, you got 15 minutes to impress the coach. Guess what? You did the work to get the coach there. Now go impress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And you answered the other question. We already talked about it, so I will. I was going to talk about like how can ECRL players stand out and get recruited, and you got to do the work and you got to know what you're doing. You can't so many players get looked at, coach likes them, and then one bad call by the ref and they go off, and I'm like, you just ruined your 15 minutes. Your 15 minutes just went down the drain, man, because now he thinks you're a liability. And it's one of those things that like I just really wish young players would understand and do less of it and just focus on playing. But Zach, that is the last one. I really want to tell you how much I appreciate your time. You're in mid-season, so me calling you on a Tuesday at 8:30 to get you on a call, I really appreciate you doing this, and I want to thank you for being here with me. And then we'll go from there. But I can't wait to see you on the field, man. I'm going to be on the field soon.
David, anything for you, man. I just wish we could have done it sooner. I know we were trying to get Capo and I, and but
we finally got it. I'll get big time Capo in here at some point. All right. But I appreciate it, buddy.